This is a Read Media production. Narration by Ashley. Hello and welcome. Title: The Law of Divine Unity. According to the Divine Law of Oneness, all people are interconnected through creation. All components of the human body are connected to the universe. All human movements are controlled in the same way, shape, or form. This means that every action people take quietly affects society as a whole, not just one person. Through collective consciousness, the Divine Law of Oneness connects all of humanity and ecosystems. All beings seem to be connected to one eternal source of energy. When people share a little happiness with their peers, they receive the same kindness. God's law of unity guarantees the balance and stability of the universe. Moreover, according to the law of divine unity, there is nothing but divine unity. The abstract existence of unity is infinite in space, time, and energy. Every man on earth must obey this law in order to live and prosper. If people really decide to change their lives for the better, they must first know the laws that govern the universe. It can be said that the original created law is God's law of unity. It directly affects a person's thought processes, aspirations, beliefs, and behaviors. All of these will eventually influence the planet and the people who live on it. The cosmic law of divine unity suggests that human beings were created in the image and style of a divine or original source, suggesting that anything is possible. People feel euphoric when they are connected to the source. All spiritual leaders emphasize the importance of regular prayer or meditation, especially when applying the laws of the universe. Through collective consciousness, God's law of unity binds all human actions and circumstances. Apparently, everyone is connected to an infinite energy source. So when one gives pleasure, he gets the same reaction from the recipient. This law ensures the balance and stability of the universe. As he looks out the window, he sees that everything he sees is connected to vibrational energy. They all tremble, no matter how provocative they are. The ultimate goal of an object is to determine its vibrational energy. There are different types of energy, including chemical energy, nuclear energy, electrical energy, radiation energy, elastic energy, sound energy, kinetic energy, and gravitational energy. The human mind transforms and moves cosmic energies as divine unity unites all things in the universe. Therefore, nothing can deviate from the law. It is important for people to accept that their ambitions, beliefs, and actions align and that they must steer things in the right direction. When a person thinks, feels, and behaves in a certain way, it is pleasant or attractive. Negative emotions in his life. People are beginning to change their understanding of how the emotions of anger, revenge, or hatred can bring negative suffering to the universe and those around us. This happens when there is a sense of unity. Knowing this will help you transform your mind into positive energy. Love is the most powerful emotion that removes negativity from the human heart. Love is very energetic and attracts like-minded people and things. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. You can only switch from one state to another. Nobody dies in this world. Living or inanimate objects change shape from one stage to another. Everything that exists is in constant dynamism. Water, for instance, changes state constantly from steam to water to ice and back again. You can imagine an ancient fortress that was naturally in decline. Over time, as the structure wore and broke from energy changes and other factors around it, the structure slowly disintegrated. It constantly decreases due to the energy source that hits it. Changes in shape and composition continue until the whole melts and returns to space. Energy is used to create new things. After all, nothing can be destroyed. Vibrational frequencies are created by human thoughts, emotions, and habits. This frequency can be tuned to attract things in life, law of attraction. People who experience negative emotions attract the same energy back to themselves. When a person vibrates at a lower frequency, he cannot expect to attract anything positive into his life. By listening to positive affirmations early in the morning and before going to bed, your inner self can receive those positive affirmations. An affirmation is a series of positive words or statements that people often repeat to change their mind and raise their vibrational frequency. Fun and optimism are kept grounded throughout the day with this uplifting message. Every morning, you should invest a reasonable amount of time in meditation, which connects you to the layers of the unconscious and the vast universe. Meditation has been practiced for hundreds of years. The most successful people do this. In meditation, universal knowledge is unlocked by tapping into the unconscious elements of our souls. When a person's mind is still, this power is open and emotions, thoughts, and joys can enter the mind. Sharing is the strongest emotional bond you can have with another person. If you try to constantly give rather than receive from others, your life will change. People don't have to give money to help others. A wide range of skills can be used in a healthy way to help others. The divine law of oneness works best when the higher energy flows and helps others. Great satisfaction. A person should be grateful for everything that is alive now. People can never be attracted unless they appreciate what they have. We live in a world where people are constantly striving for more. But when was the last time they stopped to appreciate what they had? The power of unity, no matter where people are in the universe, shows that everyone is connected by energy. It offers the highest vibrational frequency due to the positive properties found in living things. It improves your personal life and the lives of those around you. When people vibrate at a higher positive frequency, they begin to attract more similar vibrations. A person should strive to be prosperous, healthy, and happy. This is the nature of attracting high vibrational frequencies. The solar system is not life, but the sharing of its components proves that it is part of life on Earth. You can call it life cycle. A person is born. They grow old and eventually reach the end of their lives. There is a saying that the dust settles. It means life goes on. Over time, the structure began to slowly disintegrate as it wore down and was damaged by energy changes and other factors around it. Permanently drained from any energy source it comes into contact with. The change in shape and composition continues until all the melt is released back into space. Energy is used to create new things. After all, nothing is unbreakable. Vibrational frequencies are created by thoughts, emotions, and habits. This frequency can be tuned to attract things in life, law of attraction. People who experience negative emotions attract the same energy to them. If a person vibrates at a low frequency, he cannot bring anything positive into his life. Listening to positive words in the morning before going to bed helps your subconscious to accept them. Affirmations are a series of positive words or phrases that people repeat over and over to change their mind and raise their vibrational frequency. These funny messages will make you happy and hopeful all day long. You should set aside a suitable time each morning for meditation that connects you to the layers of the unconscious and the wider universe. Meditation has been practiced for hundreds of years. Very successful people do it. During meditation, universal knowledge is revealed using the unconscious elements of our soul. When a person's mind is at peace, this energy is open and feelings, thoughts, and pleasures enter the mind. Talking together is the strongest emotional connection you can have with another person. Your life will change if you constantly try to give and not to others. People don't have to pay money to help others. You can use a variety of skills in a healthy way to help others. The divine law of oneness works best when the higher energies flow and help others. Treat. A person should be grateful for everything that is alive now. If you don't know the value of what you have, you will never be interested. We live in a world where people always want more. But when was the last time they stopped appreciating what they had? The power of unity shows that people are connected by energy wherever they are in the world. It ensures high-frequency oscillations due to the positive properties of living organisms. It will improve your personal life and the lives of those around you. When people vibrate at a higher positive frequency, they begin to attract similar vibrations. A person should strive to be prosperous, healthy, and happy. This is the property of absorbing high-frequency vibrations. The solar system is not life, but the distribution of its components proves that it is part of life on Earth. This can be referred to as a life cycle. A person is born. They grow old and eventually reach the end of their lives. There is a saying that, dust settles, that is, life goes on. We must remember spiritual power with a divine heart and many human abilities. Man walks the way of return to develop his body and mind to live in the unity of God. Predictive tools are an insightful approach that helps people create informed life connections from a broader perspective. And it continues to support people's progress towards spiritual awakening. Most people can remember and consciously associate everything in life. When people regain their consciousness, they consciously try to live their lives supported by divine means. It helps to understand their divinity. Spiritually, they strive to live as mind-centered beings in order to reconnect with society. God's law of unity. The phenomenon of manifestation is closely related to the divine unity, to the existence of the human soul. It is a big and important event that happens before anything else. Today, people no longer have to pretend nothing happened. They have reached a point where they no longer have to sacrifice the pain and suffering from entering this physical stage of existence. You have to pay a price. Amazing things happen in the brotherhood of men. Pain and suffering are constant threats. There are now almost no differences between microfamilies and conventional families. The realization of the ever-divine self-worth ultimately takes place in nature. This is the law of divine unity. That's great news. What an honor. What a remarkable event that began and happened to mankind. The unity of Allah Ta'ala is now born. This is in stark contrast to the rules of the avatar world. The true incarnation, or the greatness and absolute uniqueness of the incarnation, can no longer prevent the power of light and love from revealing the truth. Eventually, this journey began to reshape the human body into its original form. Most of the tireless free energy comes from living things. It involves a physical and mental commitment to grow and cultivate a greater work that will eventually bear fruit. The divine unity of all time is now equipped to launch a complete protocol for specially designed ships. What does God do in human life to bring us closer to divine unity? Do people ever give up? Do they feel like there is a void in their life? Is there a permanent problem in a person's soul that makes them unhappy? The void was created to bring people closer to God. Do people believe this is the reason it was created? Man must speak to God as his true disciple. People should leave everything to Almighty God and take care of everything that prevents them from connecting with Him. People don't understand what God is doing. But whatever journey and status a person may have, he must believe that God will enlighten His servants and lead them to the next level. Are you ready to believe in God and move on? The Divine Law of Oneness says that God is the teacher and the way. His followers are lost. However, people do not believe and worry that all diseases will be cured without human effort. Those who believe in unity reach a point where they do not refuse to meet God in a supernatural way. He believed that God is all-powerful and that when a person is faced with a real crisis, he must respond to his knowledge, even if it is hopeless. A person's faith develops from faith to an understanding that God gives divine blessings. People realize that they are in a relationship with Almighty God that transcends material difficulties. People only need temporary help because they are connected to a God who is merciful to all believers. Therefore, the element of divine unity always brings the best to the one to whom it is applied. Is there anyone who fully trusts God and gets God's will done through them? Those who believe in true unity say that God's existence exists only through the divine law of unity. People are mostly looking for children who can be self-sufficient, but the ultimate goal is to find a way to personally have supernatural encounters. It is very important to understand people's faith in God, because belief in divine teachings is associated with it. Worship is defined as unity in praising God through a spiritual understanding of God's Word. People may think that if they do their own work, God will do the rest. It is the duty of human beings to believe in the Word of God and live a worthy life. Even if a person is deprived of a dignified life, he should not be offended. Finally, the change of faith is done through divine unity. People show their faith by their actions. People are not interested after unification. It is hard to get discouraged when you are worshiping God. Through the divine union, man gradually begins to fall into the shadow of God, whose power motivates him to believe and achieve the seemingly impossible. A holy mission can be fulfilled by all others. People now need answers to these life-changing questions. Those who believe in God with their heart, even in the midst of trials and tribulations, form a kind of sympathy for the existence of God. Faith based on unity can only be tested by a limited time of sorrow and pain. The burden of proof rests with those who seek divine unity. Rather than being victims of circumstance, do they want God to return them to their true purpose? Does pain and suffering prevent people from fulfilling their mission? Or do you selfishly choose to roll up your sleeves? Miracles assert that separation from God causes disease, despair, poverty, destruction, violence, fear, capricious behavior, and planetary instability. The union of God with God gives health, mercy, prosperity, growth, and peace of mind. It is when people's thoughts and egos say they aren't worthy of worship that they build barriers between themselves and God. By following God's law of oneness, the misunderstood can see themselves as part of God to restore this separation. Oneness of God and the law of yoga. People strive to live meaningful lives, but today's lifestyle is stressful. People wake up, do their chores in the morning, go to work, come home at night, eat, sleep, and do it all again. If there is still time, people are busy with gadgets and gizmos. People today have everything they can dream of: a comfortable lifestyle, advanced technology, and much more. But they have no idea. They simply suffer themselves from a healthy lifestyle due to stress, anxiety, obesity, heart disease, and many other problems. When do people rest and rest? This is when yoga begins. For those who need it, traditional yoga techniques and modern healing processes are combined. Yoga means union with the highest. It combines physical, mental, and spiritual energies that work together and provide long-term benefits to help maintain overall well-being. Yoga in its purest form is the realization of divine unity. Yoga nourishes and detoxifies the body, mind, and soul, allowing you to gain awareness against the root of all adversity. Yoga and human postures can focus on the bed or the sitting position on the bed. In both cases, people tend to crash, which sometimes helps, but isn't physically ideal. It causes physical discomfort. Has anyone noticed that I'm always lying down? Do humans use gravity to hold body parts in place? Phew. The human body usually leans forward when not lying down for rest or sleep. This leads to a state of discord in the body. Internal organs and their activity are affected by physical deformation. The physical aspect of yoga offers postures, asanas, that relieve physical discomfort. Asanas are called controlled body movements combined with coordinated breathing movements. Yoga postures are very helpful in correcting physical deficiencies while maintaining full awareness. Another measure of resistance is the flow of energy that helps people control their thoughts. To cause positive emotions, you need to overcome negative thoughts. A person's energy must be consistent with their thought process. Yoga and the mind yoga is ultimately the awareness, interpretation, and realization of the mind. Therefore, the mental side of yoga is the most important. In addition to physical stress, people also experience mental stress. It can be much more damaging than before. Emotional stress is characterized by inhibitions, obsessions, anxiety, and other factors. To face these challenges, people need rest and concentration. One of the easiest ways to relax and restore balance in the body is to practice relaxation techniques that ultimately lead to divine unity. Thought control is essential to controlling your mind. For example, you can take a nap, a form of relaxation and a great tool. People find peace when they separate their thoughts, emotions, and expressions in yoga. You should go to bed without mental stress and other mental pains. It allows people to know their thoughts and avoid negative thoughts. You also need to make a conscious effort to become aware of the thoughts that are affecting you before you go to sleep. A person may be under physical stress and may face tensions at work, family problems, or other mental problems. So he can close his eyes for a few minutes and repeat the sincere prayer before touching the bed. This procedure awakens your inner self, allows you to observe and control, and increases your chances of sleeping well. The mental side of yoga allows people to focus on scattered energy. It creates confidence, a new perspective on life, and a balanced mood. Yoga and vitality. The spiritual side of yoga is a third source of energy that many people have yet to reconcile, with which people feel their own driving force. This energy causes people to feel, think, feel, and act as they see fit. Through meditation, man reconciles his outer life with his inner self in the spiritual system. These changes allow one to connect with the divine unity within the human soul. Meditation and yoga complement each other. Meditation, like yoga postures, teaches people to control their minds, that is, to focus all their inner energies on the task at hand. People can focus and resolve all their worries with calm, clarity, and peace through meditation, regardless of whether they are dealing with a stressful situation or not. It removes all negative thoughts and awakens the source of inner strength. Pause here to reconnect and breathe in the divine unity that yoga can provide. People spend a lot of time on family and work obligations. If you don't stop and connect with your inner self through yoga and meditation, you face a host of health, emotional and psychological issues. God's law of unity and scientific quantum physics have shown that the DNA of all living things has the same properties and all matter has the same basic energy. It can be found on Earth, in space, and beyond. The difference is determined by the composition of these elements and energy particles. Comparing apples to pears shows the difference between two simple fruits. Although apples and oranges have the same basic ingredients, they are fundamentally different in structure and look different to humans. But even when it comes down to the simplest connections, many of the same elements are present. How they combine and what you choose sets these qualities apart. The whole experience of society, the planets, and the universe is largely shaped by the union of selectors and physical beings. You can choose unity with God or duality of society. Everyone creates their own reality based on their beliefs and opinions and what they want to achieve. Cosmic vitality, Source, manifests directly to help people free their thoughts and emotions from the limitations imposed by planetary forces. This is done through doors that open up new horizons. From sensation to manifestation, the source of all existence is pure promise. Completion is in progress. This is the essence of the endless possibilities of the eternal journey. I mean, you are already human and need stimulation. People can have whatever they want. They have their own meaning and can be recognized. Because the possibilities are endless, endless possibilities always appear. In other words, everything is possible when divine unity is near. By researching the zero-point energy field, researchers have discovered that this field connects everything and everyone. Anyway, it looks good. The zero energy field and the consciousness field can be one. This is formally addressed through the inherent sensitivity of quantum physics and the rapidly growing new field of conscientiology. The unified law of God and the unified field theory underlying all matter is discussed in physics as the zero-point energy field. British researcher Lynn MacTaggart's book The Field in Search of the Universe's Secret Power provides a basic account of this fundamental zero-point energy field that is accessible to a wide audience. Everything in science is based on the universal concept of a single discipline. Some physicists proposed the existence of such a fundamental field at the end of the 19th century. Albert Einstein used this concept to develop the special theory of relativity. His ideas were accepted and the existence of an inner universal field or ether was eventually denied. At the same time, quantum physicists have concluded that there must be some form to which the general laws of nature do not apply. They called this space universal void or pure white. Instead of being occupied by the ether, they thought the area was completely empty. The so-called universal vacuum has nothing to do with controlled quantum physics. The energy field, on the other hand, is a natural energy lake with absolute zero. This energy field does not exist at the level of reality where the normal laws of physics apply. According to quantum physicists, this reservoir of energy exists on the plane of reality beyond the space-time medium. Originally discovered at the quantum level of subatomic particles, the principle of quantum entanglement is the idea that everything in existence is connected to everything else by a unified divine law. Everything in the quantum particle world is interconnected, resulting in coherent regeneration. However, at the quantum level this is entirely correct and is believed to have practical implications at the level of larger physical processes such as living things. In other words, a separate reality from the quantum dimension is used instead of the known reality in the more familiar dimension. However, quantum physicists have discovered that such problems exist at other levels of organizational structure. In organic systems, these extended interactions lead to quantum coherence. For example, the human body is made up of trillions of cells and different organs and tissues made up of different molecules. All these types of activities are carried out independently and people form a whole. This creates an organic whole in which the element and the whole are fully integrated. There are many scientific observations that show that the entire universe is an internal, directly integrated whole. Furthermore, all are connected to a zero energy field. In addition, this zero field is in the form of a medium that circulates more energy related to human life. This field is said to store all historical data. Physics defines the vacuum as an inexplicably complex dynamic network of highly ordered energy fields. These invisible force fields regulate all physical processes, although their origin or structure is not clear. From a modern perspective, the human mind is not confined to the skull, but is part of a larger realm of consciousness. In his research on consciousness, transpersonal psychologist Stanislav Groves has showed that consciousness can transcend the conventional boundaries of space, self, body, and linear time. These meetings allow people to experience the collective consciousness and access new ideas like never before. Unlike general consciousness, which exists outside the individual, human consciousness is not part of it. It also shows that consciousness can change the probability of events, based on several well-documented experiments. It gives the system a sense of order, and the human mind is no exception. Since human consciousness is part of cosmic consciousness, consciousness can be used to influence cosmic consciousness. In recent years, a growing number of scientists believe that conscious experience can permeate everything, but consciousness is at the root of everything and has played a crucial role in the origin of life and matter. Contrary to the previous view that matter created consciousness, a growing number of scientists believe that consciousness has always existed and is a product of humans. Consciousness is therefore the root of all things, and consciousness is the source of matter. This actually proves the fact that the law of divine unity is directly related to universal consciousness. Everything that exists, perceived or not, is intimately connected to the realm of divine unity. The divine connection or universal spiritual force is often presented as a universal force or omnipotent source, an omnipresent divine being. Everything is collected. As people learn more about these laws, the understanding of supernatural forces and their connection to everything will increase. It is very important that humans as a species begin to recognize and understand this law. They realize that they only think of each other as good. People who respect others also think about others. All human thoughts, feelings, and actions should be positive. What to plant, what to receive. When people better understand the inner meaning of God's law of union, they will understand how all things connect, intersect, and govern the world in which people live. Everything exists because of energy. Any land, sky, road, best friend, and mortal enemy can be considered as a way out. I don't think there is any difference. What would he do if he didn't really understand that he was not separate from his life, family, friends, colleagues, and the rest of the planet? This is a strange answer. If the entire planet vibrates at a higher frequency, filled with love, energy, compassion, empathy, hope, joy, and other positive emotions, a person can easily move mountains. Most people pay as little attention as possible to what affects other people. Everything is made of energy. As a result, the less energy entering the universe, the lower the overall vibrational makeup of the universe. Remember that all life is connected. Therefore, each individual fluctuation affects the others. Each person has a different vibrational frequency, but this energy cannot be destroyed or restored. Means energy. So when a person feels low, they cannot get high because the two low frequencies meet in the middle. Low energy affects other parts of the planet. It prevents people from fully functioning. The world becomes more difficult when most people are operating at lower energy levels. When a person understands the divine law of oneness, he experiences different feelings than others. Realizing how this law governs human nature, he changed his outlook on life. People almost always feel better because they know why something is happening. They no longer blame themselves or others. They succeed in life and know the impact they have on the world. According to the Divine Law of Monotheism, humans are part of a whole that includes everything else in life.